Australia. Let's go to economics now, because it's been a big day in the lead up to the budget on the economics front, with the RBA leaving interest rates on hold today. Let's go to Gigi Foster, who's the UNSW economics professor, joins us regularly. Good to talk to you again, Gigi. Different tone from the RBA Governor Michele Bullock today. She's saying interest rates are going to stay higher for longer, and she hopes they're high enough to stop inflation. But she's not ruling out a further interest rate increase.
Yep. I mean, this is something I was speaking about a couple of months ago, because the RBA doesn't just look at the rate of inflation. Remember, it's also just looking at other signals, whether it's the labor market or supply chains or consumer confidence. And those signals, a lot of them have been quite strong. And don't forget as well that just around the corner is the modified stage 3 tax cuts. So that's going to inject a bit more money into people's pockets. And so I think Michele Bullock is hedging her bets and preparing the markets for a potential another bitter pill to swallow, you might say, particularly for mortgage holders, of course, in Australia.
Indeed. Well, let's have a look at some of what she said, and people can make up their own minds.
We've always felt that it was a bit too soon to declare victory, and I think the numbers in recent weeks have demonstrated that for us. We think policy is restrictive. We don't think we necessarily have to tighten again, but we can't rule it out. If we have to, we will.
Dear oh dear, the last RBA governor, people complained he didn't talk enough, got too many things wrong. Michele Bullock's doing a lot of talking. I fear she's going to talk herself into trouble. I think RBA governors shouldn't talk too much. But the thing here is, are governments around the country, not just the federal government, we had the Victorian state budget today, for instance, are governments just spending too much and making the RBA's job too hard?
Well, this is the thing, Chris. I mean, we have fiscal policy and then we have monetary policy in economics. Those are the two big mechanisms through which the government can affect the economy. And fiscal policy is not within the RBA's purview. So whenever the government spends or spends less or does anything in relation to money in the economy, the RBA sort of just sits and watches. It's independent, so-called, of the government. And so its charge of deciding on cash rates is just one mechanism. And particularly when only 30% or so of Australians are owning their own homes, the degree of direct impact that a cash rate adjustment has on inflation through taking money out of people's pockets and trying to basically get them to save it or put it into their mortgage payments is not as great as it would be if more people were exposed to those mortgage payments. And so, for example, if Coles or Woolworths decides to pocket some of the rise in prices that's happened because of supply chain disruptions during COVID, let's say, and not actually pass declines onto customers, the RBA can't do anything about that. It can also do nothing about a government that decides to increase the JobKeeper rate or to give more money to single parents or to give additional cash bonuses to first-time home buyers. It has to just sit and watch those things happen. And those potentially can be inflationary. Now, I'll say in relation to the Victorian budget, you did have commentators today talking about how maybe this was going to be inflationary, and the government's statement itself very much directly addressed that concern. They were saying, look, we're trying not to be inflationary, we're trying to help the cost of living, but, government spending can be inflationary.